Sergio Ramos is a physical therapist, board certified in neurologic PT, currently practicing in multiple facilities, including Honor Health, Shea and Barrows Neurological Institute in Scottsdale and Phoenix, Arizona. He has a history of volunteer work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, Davis Finney Foundation, and local support groups both in Texas and Arizona. He's involved with multiple universities and assists as adjunct faculty at Franklin Pierce University, University of Pittsburgh, and Tufts University with their neurologic content. He is passionate about exercise and its benefits in individuals with Parkinson's disease and other movement disorders, and recently started his own company to help facilitate community outreach and exercise programs for English and Spanish-speaking people with Parkinson's disease. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I completely forgot that we met in person like 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, that did happen. Yeah, so like she said, my name is Sergio, local to Arizona, originally from Texas. Like I said, we've got a few people from Arizona in the chat. I saw some Tucson, some Yuma. Let's see. Cool. So like she said, today's more of an exercise class, just a movement hour. So hopefully you guys are mentally prepared and physically prepared to be up and at it. Feel free to always just observe, get some ideas, but you know, the more people engaging, the merrier. It's a little tricky sometimes knowing who's going to come in here. If we need to modify any exercises to seated, to standing, feel free to just kind of pace everything out to yourself. If you need any support for balance, whether you have chairs, whether you have counters, anything like that, or if there are some exercises you just don't feel comfortable with, always prioritize your safety. If anything gives you pain or anything like that, again, just kind of modify. Eden said questions are welcome if we need to add any particular exercises, whether it's balance, flexibility, strengthening. If you ask a very specific question about like back pain or something like that, I might refer you to see a provider, but we can cross that bridge when we get there. But any questions before we start? No, I think we're good. All right. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm gonna have a little music playing in the background just so I'm not alone in my own little room. But just kind of follows through. We'll kind of switch from any balance exercises, strengthening, flexibility. We'll try and get a little flow going. Like I said, if you need a rest break at any point, feel free to do so. So I'm going to start off seated on my couch here, and then we'll get going from there. Eden, Kelly, feel free to stop me at any point. If you see anything, I'll probably schedule some rest breaks in between just so we can all catch up and breathe. But okay, I am starting off over by my couch. I'm just getting our legs warmed up. We're going to work on some sit-to stands. So whether you need some support with the arms, whether you want to do it no support, completely up to you. But I'm just going to start with just 10, going up and down, shifting my weight forward, bringing it down. You can always go a little faster if you want to get that heart rate going, or if you just want a nice steady pace, you can push off your legs if you want to as well. Again, this is a foundation for everything that we do in our everyday life, a very important skill set that we want to maintain. That's 5 for me. Going up to 6. We're going to do a lot of these today, so make sure you rest your legs. 7, 8, 9, one more, and 10. All right, shaking out those legs real quick, getting nice and warm. We're going to do 3 more sets of those, but each time I'm going to add a little exercise at the top. So for this next one, we're going to do 10 sit-to stands, but every time you stand up, you're going to give me 10 strong punches. We're going to get those arms warmed up. If you have any weights at home, honestly, even just like little cans, beans cans, anything that's like a little paperweight and you want to add a little more, you can always do that as well. Again, feel free to modify as needed. Looks like Lucy wants to take part. So we'll start off a nice stand, and then we're going to do 10 punches, everyone at your own pace. Ba, 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 and then back down. And that's 1. Making sure you're breathing, getting full extension every time you stand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turning at those shoulders, turning at those hips, just loosening everything up. This is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feel free to tell me to slow down if we need to. This is number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. With those punches, you can go for speed. If you want to do power, you can go boom, 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 boom. Nice quick ones, nice strong ones. 8, 9, 10. I don't know if you guys go to PT, but most PTs aren't very good at counting. So I already lost count. I think this is 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go ahead. 7. I see a few people engaging. I love it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back down. 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And one last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I said we're going to do a few of those, but I changed my mind because that's going to be a lot of sit to stand. We're already at 20. So for the next one, this next one, we're going to stand on up. We're going to warm up our hip flexors a little bit. So we're just going to do some standing marches. We're going to count up to 30. If you can do it just stationary, work on that balance, work on that weight shift a little bit. If you need some support, you can use a counter, you can use a chair. Again, I haven't started counting, so I'm going to start counting here. You can always do these seated as well. So I'm going to count to 30, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to switch to butt kicks. So we're going to work those glutes and those hamstrings. Again, if you can do them in place, even better. If you need that support, feel free to do so. So I'm going to do 30 butt kicks here. Trying to make sure that that ankle is coming up and it doesn't become kind of almost like a march. Sometimes you try to compensate with that hip flexor. We're going to go for 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1. All these exercises will be body weight. I don't know about you guys, but my legs are already feeling it, which is kind of concerning. 3 more, 2, and 1. All right. For this next one, we're kind of just going to go into a nice head to toe stretch and mobility. You can do this seated or you can do this standing. We're going to start off with a nice easy neck roll. So again, everyone's going to be a little different. If you have history of like hip surgeries, knee, back, spine, anything like that, of course, that kind of stuff is going to come into play. So if there's anything you're uncomfortable or is painful, feel free to modify it. We'll switch to the other side. Just rolling it out. If that full row is too much, you can honestly just go side to side, up and down. Bring that ear to the shoulder, not so much shoulder to ear. Then we're going to go into big arm circles. Again, making sure we're protecting that shoulder. Just going to whatever range we feel comfortable. And then going backwards, reversing it. For those of you that don't live in Arizona, we broke 100 last week. And like air conditioning is on, but I can feel the heat just easing through my windows here. All right, we're going to open and close that chest. So giving yourself a nice big hug, squeezing those shoulder blades on the way out. Again, with Parkinson's, we really want to work on that trunk mobility. We always think of that flex posture. So really opening up here, squeezing those shoulder blades, even opening those hands on the way out, getting full expansion. When we're doing our little warm up with the marches and the butt kicks, working on those weight shifts. Some people experience freezing. Those weight shifts are really good to get out of that freezing and just general balance, really. On this next one, we're going to grab our left elbow. Stop making us laugh. What am I saying? And we're going to roll out the wrist. I'm making you laugh because we're working on dual tasking, you know? It's also important for people with Parkinson's. Shifting your concentration from the exercise to having a conversation. We'll go to the other side. Rolling out that wrist. Laughter is the best medicine. It's cardio, working on our breathing. Nice and easy. If we can, we're going to reach overhead. If that's too much, you can always just come across just like we did. We'll do a nice little pull. You can pop that hip out, not literally, just out to the side to add a little more of a stretch. And then the other side. Okay, now we're going to do a little twist. So again, working on that axial rotation, we're kind of just going side to side. If we're doing it from standing, kind of turning at the hip and the ankle, getting that full body rotation, loosening everything up. If we're feeling good and we feel steady, we're going to bring our hip up and out, and we'll kind of alternate like that. Again, if you need a little counter for some support, just kind of opening and closing that hip, nice and easy. We want this stretch to be nice and low effort, just getting everything loosened up. All of these can be done, most of these can be done in bed or seated. The leg ones become a little tricky. And then bringing it in, so coming from out inwards, we kind of call that opening the gate, closing the gate. Nice and easy. Going into a little bit of a hamstring and a calf stretch. I'm going to straighten one leg, toes up to the sky, and I'm going to reach down, and I'm just going to alternate there. Again, kind of working a little bit on that weight shift, keeping my feet nice and wide. It's a nice wide base, is a stable base. If this is too much, you can always just do a nice easy hamstring stretch, just seated from here, kind of alternating feet, nice reach down, kind of going all the way to that lower back, getting it nice and stretched out. Boom. And lastly, again, feel free to stop at any point, but we're going to do a little bit of a hip flexor stretch. So I'm going to hold on to the counter and I'm going to grab one of my ankles so that I can support myself, but I can also give myself a little pull. If you're kind of worried about standing on that one leg, you can always do a little bit of a lunge and just having one leg back, taking a lunge. You should feel a little bit, mainly in the calf, but sometimes we'll get a little bit of that hip flexor right here as well. Whatever's easier, whatever's more comfortable. Like this one. And then I'm going to switch to the other side. Perfect. All right. And shake it off. All right. Coming back to the mat. One of the more common exercises or programs for people with Parkinson's is the big and loud. Big and loud is very standardized, and it's really what it sounds like. It's big exercises and loud projections. I'm not going to do the loud part so you don't feel like I'm yelling at you through the screen, but we do want to work on those big movements. Becky Farley, the girl that developed Big and Loud, also develops power moves. So Big and Loud being a formal 4x4 program, as in 4 days a week for 4 weeks. Power moves is the same thing, just typically more from a group exercise format. You don't have to follow the 4x4 regimen. So again, same principles. We're going to start off seated for this one, and then we'll progress to standing. So even here, I am nice, I am upright, shoulders are back, head is up, palms on my hands, on my laps. I'm going to reach down to the ground, only go as low as you feel comfortable, and then I'm going to come up and extend. Again, squeezing those shoulder blades, opening those fingers, almost like a jazz hands out here. And we're going to do that 10 times. Down to the ground and up. That's 2 for me. Down to the ground and up. That's 3. I don't know if you guys can see, but every time I reach my hand out, Lucy's just licking it. That's 4. So if you get any splashes on the screen, that'll be Lucy's spit coming across. That's 6. But you'll know that I'm doing big movements if they can make it all the way from here to the screen. All right, this is 7. Eden's laughing, so that at least, you know, if the joke lands on one person, then I'm happy. Down, up, this is 8. Down and up, this is 9. Down and up, this is 10. All right, now we're gonna work on rotation. So that's what we kind of call like a power up because we're coming up and extending. This time we're gonna do a twist. So if we can have both hands straight out, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna come across with my left hand up to my right. My right is stationary and I am bringing it back. You can kind of tell at the bottom of the screen that my bottom leg is pivoting with me. So we're adding a little more of that twist. We're gonna do 10 of these here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, kind of going at your own pace. 8, 9, and 10. Again, if you can't reach all the way to the other hand, only go as far as you feel comfortable. And we're gonna go the other side. So now my right arm comes across, my left is stationary. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. And relax, catch your breath. Are we feeling good? Some thumbs up. Still doing okay? All right. For this next one, pretty similar. We're going to add a step to it though. So with all of these, there's a reaching component. There's an extension component. So this time I'm going to reach out, but as I reach out, my leg is going to come with me. So we're going to try with that right side. You can see how high my leg is coming up all the way from out of the screen into the screen. And it's moving in conjunction with the hand. Some of you guys are doing it in standing. I love it. We're going to get there in a little bit. But you get that balance component when you do it in standing as well. This is 4 for me. Nice reach out. 5. We got some other pets on the screen. I love it. 7. 8. Some people like to have a little target on the ground, whether it's like a shoebox, a sandal. That way you can physically give yourself something to step over. That was 10 for me. Now I'm going to come over to the other side. Going 1, big reach and back. Still working on that full extension, making sure those palms are extended, those fingers are extended as well. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And relax. So we did a power up, we did a power twist, we did a power step. This next one's a power rock. So it's a rock and a reach. So we're just going to reach up to the sky. Again, we're really just working on weight shifts here. So you can see how my bottom kind of leaves the seat for a little bit. So again, if we're standing, then we're working a little bit more of that dynamic balance. I'm not counting, but I'm just going to make up a number. Everyone just kind of followed along, which is lovely. So we'll do 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right, we're going to transition. So kind of bringing it back to that power up. Now, instead of just coming up here, we're going to come into a stand. So kind of shifting our weight forward, we are powering up. Again, extending those fingers, expanding that chest. Sometimes looking up gives you a better extension up at the neck, and then coming down. Nice and controlled. If we have that uncontrolled descent and you need to hold on, feel free to do so. But again, even if you need to push up, kind of extending up here. And then back down, nice and controlled. That's 2. Coming up again, 3, beautiful. 4, good. 5, full extension. 6. Sometimes for taller folks, we need a little bit of a higher chair to kind of come up, just to give us a little bit of a mechanical advantage. 7, I think. 8. 9. And 10. All right. Little water break, little breather break. How's everyone doing? 20 minutes in, I'm sweating, but I think it's just from the heat. I hope it's not from the exercise because I'd like to think that I work out. All right. Looks like everyone's doing good. Perfect. All right. Lucy took my spot. We're going to kick her off. All right. If we're feeling good, we're going to build off of that same one. So starting off from the seated, if your legs are starting to get a little tired and you want to get rid of the sit to stand, that's perfectly fine. But this new sequence, essentially, I'm going to come up from here. I'm going to raise my arms up and I'm going to come across, and then back down. So we're doing a power up with a power twist. Again, if the legs are getting tired, then just meet me here. We'll do a reach and a reach. And then you can just kind of go from there. Again, I'm twisting up at the spine. I'm turning at the hips. You can't see it, but I'm pivoting at the foot. And then I'm coming down. So power up, bring the arms up a little bit, twist left, twist right, and back down. Nice control. That's 3 for me. Up, twist left, twist right, and then down. That's 4. Up, twist left, twist right, and down. Now I'm not doing the loud part, but you guys at home, feel free to do so. You can yell up, you can yell twist, you can count the numbers. Sometimes going through the sequence out loud is a little easier. As we start to add more and more steps, it can get a little tricky. I think that was 6. Up, twist, twist, 7. Up, twist, twist, 8. Up, twist, twist. It's 9. Last one. Up, twist, twist. That's 10. All right. Shaking out those legs. And we are coming back up. We'll get rid of the sit to stand for this one. We're going to work a little bit more on our dynamic balance. We're transitioning to that step. So again, if you need that counter, if you need that chair, feel free to use it. We are going to do a step and reach, just like we did in sitting. So we are coming out and reach. I like to look at my hand. That way I can reach a little further and I can make sure that I'm extending those fingers. 3. If you don't need that support, just stepping out. It's almost like a side lunge. So slight bend to the outer leg. Going at your own pace. That's 5. 6. 7. I like to do like a nice little arc with my hand so I can get a little bit of that shoulder range of motion. Or you can kind of come out from across if that's a little easier. I'll do 2 more. 1, 2. Good. We're going to shift over to the other side. Same thing. So we are coming up and out, making sure everything is extended. 2, 3, 4. And again, I try to kind of pick exercises that we could do at home, all body weight, all focused on some aspect of Parkinson's. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do that sequence one more time. This time we are counting down from 10. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And last time on this side, you can make these exercises a cognitive exercise however you want. So this time we're going to count down from 20 by twos. Still the same amount of reps, just changing the sequence a little bit. Math is hard, so hopefully we can do, twos are pretty good. So we'll do 20, down, 18, 16. Now I'm self-conscious because if I mess up, it's going to be public. Everyone's going to see them like Sergio can't count. I think this is 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 0. Good. This time we're going to do a step forward. You've got options for the step forward. It's basically a lunge forward. You can reach out forward like that, or if you want to add a little bit of cross rotation, you can reach over with that opposite arm. I'll give you guys a liberty there. I'm going to start with my right leg. So I'm going to reach forward, still looking at my hand to give myself some cues. Make sure that I am fully extending, staying upright, making sure when we step forward, we're not kind of leaning forward. I think that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And then the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can always switch hands on each one if you'd like. 7. I see some people doing that. 8. I'm watching you guys. 9, 10. Good. Shake it off. We'll do one more of those. Coming forward with that right leg for me. Nice, easy reach forward. 1, 2. I'm gonna have to change my clothes before I get back to work. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side, last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax. Staying here, we'll just do one little set of 10 mini squats. So not a full sit. We're just bringing the butt back like we're gonna sit. And we'll just do 10 here. 2, 3, working those hip extensors, those quads. 4, a little bit of everything to be honest. 5, 6, 7. Can you guys hear me gasping for air? 8, 9, one more, 10. And relax. Take another little break here. Looking good, everybody. You guys are killing it. Love it. Lynn commented exerciseforbrainchange.org. Becky Farley, creator of Big and Power, does some live streams on there through Zoom. There's a few programs over around the world, especially now with when we transition to COVID, a lot of people started doing some virtual options. So the resources are available. All right, everyone doing okay? Drinking water, standing by the fan. Perfect. All right. This one's a little tricky. We're going to come down to the ground. Again, if you have a harder time doing that, only go down if you can get up or if you have some help. It's the exact same sequence, and that's the beauty of power, where you can do it in different functional positions. You can do it in sitting, you can do it in standing, you can do it in supine, which is just lying on our back, Or we have some options. We're going to try what we would call like a prone / quadruped. So hopefully the camera stays with me here. I'm going to start off with a nice little easy stretch. So let's see. Yeah, looks like someone does big exercises. Yeah, same principles as big exercises with the power moves. All forms of large amplitude movements. I'm going to start off with a little child's pose just to get a little bit of a stretch. So I'm going to sit my hips back towards my ankles, keeping my hands forward so I get a little bit of stretch. And I'm just going to hold here for a little bit. And I'm slowly just going to work on rocking it forward. So bringing those hips forward into a quadruped, down to a child's pose. With a nice little stretch at the end there. That's 2 for me. 3. 4. Everyone disappeared off the camera, but I'm assuming none of you are doing the exercise. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. All right. From here, option for seated. I would just work on the reaching. So kind of just shifting that weight side to side or reaching down towards the ground and coming up. Because really we're just working on that flexion and bringing it forward. Hope that answered. From here, we're going to kind of shift to that rotation, that twist. You can see me here. I'm going to reach across. Again, if this is too much on the shoulder, feel free to stop there. That in itself is a stretch, or we can rotate outwards up to the sky. Almost like yoga, reaching down, adding that rotation, and then opening up. It's all the same principles, just a different position. So I am twisting at the spine, and then I am expanding that chest. This is number 4 for me. This is a lot of weight on that shoulder. So again, if you need to modify, feel free to do so. This is 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Shifting over to the other side. See some people taking off their jackets. Are you guys warming up? It only took me 10 minutes to start sweating. All right, I am reaching down and up. Last one for me. Again, we're just working on twisting and expanding. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. I think Lucy just started snoring back there. 7. 8. 9. And 10. All right. We're going to add a little bit of a sequence here. These are getting a little harder. So again, feel free to modify. Do you guys see the sweat? Oh my goodness. To these. So I am starting in that child's pose. So what I'm doing here, I'm rocking it forward, but we're not going to stop there. With the rock, I'm going to try and add a step. I'm supporting myself with my hands here, and then I'm going to come upwards. If you need a chair, if you need a counter, whatever you need to support yourself, and then I'm bringing it back down. So I'm kind of combining all the movements here. So I'm doing a power rock where I'm rocking my weight forward, a power step, and then a power up, and then bringing it down. So I'm going to do 10 of these. You don't have to do 10. You can go at your own pace. That's 3 for me. Rock, step, and up. That's 4. And back. Rock, step, and up. That's 5. If you're on the floor, hopefully you got like a little yoga mat, a little blanket, just something to unload the knees. And up. 6. Up. 7. Rock it back, rock it forward. Step and up. 8. But because the movements get a little harder, we still want to maintain that quality. So if we need to do less reps, but really focusing on that expansion, on that 8 shift, that's always the option. That's 10 for me. And then I'm going to switch it over to the other side. If you need a little break right there, feel free to do so. Shifting it back into a step and an up. Down, back. These are always nice because again, they're tied to some kind of function. So even from here, kind of getting on and off the ground, whether it's on purpose or unfortunately, sometimes after a fall, we want to be able to know how to sequence through these things. So kind of shifting our weight to quadruped, getting one foot under us, and then pushing up, whether that's from a chair, whether that's off our leg. Everyone's going to be a little different given our history. That's 4 for me. Rock into a step, into an up. It's 5. Back. Up. 6. Up. 7. Up. 8. Down, rock, step, up. That's 9. One more good one. Rock back, step, and up. That is 10. All right. Resting for a second. How we doing? That one's always a hard one, getting down on the ground. But again, it's a skill we want to keep as long as we can. Okay. Gonna add a little bit of core work here. I'm gonna give you some options. We'll do it. I'll show one on all fours, and then I'll show a standing option. And then seated, you can kind of do that in between. So if I'm here in quadruped, we can just do a kickback. We could always just start there, working on that glute, those hamstrings, kind of alternating. If you want to make it a little harder and challenge your core, you can lift the opposite arm and the opposite leg. So if my right leg kicks out, my left arm's going to come up and then back down. And then a switch. Opposite arm, opposite leg. You can do the same up here. So kind of doing like a reach, opposite arm, opposite leg. Completely up to you guys, working on that weight shift. Again, if we have a little more balance problems, then always use either a counter, a chair, a walker. But let's kind of sequence through there a little bit. We'll go through 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Good job. All right. Little water break, little breathing break. We'll come back to our chair. Shake out those legs. And just rest. Just breathe. Breathing in for 2, breathing in for 4. Let's breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4. Even with that breathing, kind of just expanding everything. And you can kind of work a little bit on just inhale, exhale, opening and closing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Smelling the roses, blowing out the candles. A few more times. Really trying to breathe in through the stomach, really getting that diaphragm. We don't want necessarily to raise our shoulders, but expand our belly instead. All right. One of the things that we didn't do in standing is the rock that we did a little bit down here. So we're going to shift there. Again, if you want to do the seated option, you can do the seated option. Similar to the step, we kind of reach sideways, we reach forward. This time, just keeping a nice wide base, we're just reaching up and out, just enough to kind of get that opposite foot off the ground. Again, especially for people who are experiencing maybe a little bit of freezing, just kind of working on shifting our weight side to side. Bring it over, and I'm just reaching nice and high. And we're just going to go for 10. Nice and easy, a little bit of a cool down. Completely lost count. We'll do 2 more. Now we're going to add a little bit of a twist component. So I'm going to start kind of a low, mid, high, as in my opposite arm is going to reach for the opposite leg. So I'm going to reach down low, then I'm going to come middle, and I'm going to reach opposite high, and I'm going to do that for 10. So 1, 2, 2, 3, or 3. I counted that wrong, but I think you guys got the gist. 2, 2, 2. Nice and easy, kind of more of a balance, but still working on mobility, pulling everything down, especially if we were down on the ground. Nice, easy weight shifts, nice, easy rotation. Down, down. Kind of transitioning from a flexed posture to a fully extended. Down, kind of like we're doing a dance move, to be honest. I feel like I'm doing disco. Up and up. Down, down, middle, up, up. That's 6 for me. Down, down, middle, up, down, middle, up, middle, up. I do some Parkinson boxing classes, and I kind of like to incorporate these as well. Just in the idea of doing like uppercuts, hooks, jab crosses, kind of changing levels, bending at the knees, bending at the hips, adding that rotation component. Got one more here. Up and up and relax. Bringing it back to where we started. So just that nice, easy seated power up. We're not standing, we're not going anywhere. We're just reaching down towards the ground and upwards. Again, just cooling everything down, just focusing on mobility. That's 2 for me. Still the quality of movement, expanding the chest, expanding the fingers. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So indirectly, we've worked on a few things. We've done strength training, as simple as just body weight exercises, sit to stands, lunges. We worked on cardio. If you do those movements, any movements really enough times, you're going to start feeling the burn a little bit, start sweating, start breathing, and a lot of flexibility, but through functional dynamic movements. Some of those did work on balance a little bit, but I'm about to show you a little bit, some that might be a little easier, that kind of set the foundation for other balance, and that'll be kind of our little cool down finisher here. So if you were at my last presentation, we kind of went over through some of these, but if not, no worries, we'll go through it nice and slow. Pretty simple. So when you think about your balance, it's keeping your center over your base. So naturally, the wider the base, the more leeway I have to shift around, versus the more narrow, It doesn't take long before I lose my balance. So we're going to work on that. These exercises we typically recommend to do like in the corner, because you'll have two walls behind you if you feel like you're a little more unsteady. But again, if you have a chair, if you have a counter, or maybe like a couch behind you, that's always an option. All I'm doing here is I'm just bringing my feet together to touch. I'm bringing my arms across just because that makes me extend upwards a little bit. And I'm just going to stand here for 30 seconds. Like I said, nice and simple. You might feel a little sway. A little sway is normal. Nothing crazy, just standing here 30 seconds. So three components that or three systems that play into our balance. Our first one's our vision. Naturally, everyone's a little visually reliant because that's just how we live our lives. So maybe if you're walking around at night or even in the shower, you'll close your eyes for a second. You might get a little wave of that unsteadiness because that's our primary system. So that's what we're going to do next. We're just going to close our eyes. Now, the goal is 30 seconds. You might feel a little uncomfortable. So if 30 seconds is too much, I always remind people you can just open your eyes. You don't have to force them closed. And that challenges your other system to kind of take over. So second one being your sensation. So are you able to feel the ground beneath you? If I close my eyes and I move around my hand, I can tell you where it is in space. I don't have to be looking at it. I don't have to be touching anything. Go ahead and open your eyes if you're still doing so. And that's sometimes an issue for people with neuropathy, which is very common. So if we can't necessarily feel the ground, then that adds a little bit of a component to our balance. Last one is our inner ear. So something as simple as a head turn might throw us off more than we'd like. So that's going to be our next one. We're just standing here. We're just turning our head left and right. Again, nothing crazy. Might get a little bit of a little jump every now and then, but as long as we can maintain steady, we'll go for 10. And then from there, we'll just go up and down. Nice little head nods. And I'll say, are you guys having fun? And then everyone will be like, yeah, like perfect. All right, so that's a simple little exercise. Another one that we can do, kind of a progression to that one, is really just changing the base. The base sets the foundation for everything else. So if I'm here, I'm going to take a step forward and outward. Kind of a staggered stance, like if I'm about to just go on for a walk. Now here, most people tend to just kind of sit back on that back leg, but then that doesn't really work our balance too much. So some people will end up shifting forward. What we want to find is where we're kind of just right down the middle. And you can play with that a little bit. We worked on weight shifts a lot today. So am I on my heels? Am I on my toes? Or am I just centered? Once you're centered, we're going to go through that same exact sequence. So arms up by our chest. We're going to hold here, eyes open, 30 seconds, nothing crazy. Nice and easy. And if you feel comfortable, feel free to close your eyes. And for the people that are a little more uncomfortable with the eyes closed, if you have a chair, if you have a counter, really just put like 2 fingers on there. You don't have to grasp onto it. You'll be surprised kind of what just those 2 fingers will do for your sensory systems. And then we'll open our eyes. And again, we'll just do nice, easy head turns. And then after 10, we'll just go up and down. And that's kind of the beauty of our balance, where because we have 3 systems, if one of them starts going away, we can kind of compensate with the others. Now, unfortunately, with age, kind of they all start having some problems. So we start seeing a little blurry, or maybe we don't feel our toes. Our hearing kind of starts to go away and relax. So that's where it becomes a little tricky. And that's why we want to maintain these systems and maintain these strategies before anything happens. We want to preserve our skills before we lose them. And, you know, it's always better to be proactive than reactive. So aside from those, if those 2 were still pretty easy, you can always combine the 2. So if you are feet together or staggered stance, just do eyes closed and add those head turns. And that ends up being a little bit of a double whammy for our balance there. But yeah, that is it, guys. How are we doing? How are we feeling? Nice. Excellent. Little.
We do have a question.
Yeah.
You talked about being proactive. Is there anything that you can enhance that protective reflex before a fall? Like, what can you do to kind of, make sure that you're kind of up doing what you can? Like, because I know one time I worked with a physical therapist and she had a whole thing called safe strides. And
Yeah.
it was like when you stand with your legs together. And I remember when I closed my eyes, I was like, ooh, that's a little disorienting. And then she had me stand on like a cushion. And I'm like, this is uncomfortable. Like, I don't like this. And
Right. And that's always the tricky part with when you're working on your balance. It's like you want to make sure it's a controlled environment, because it's like part of working anything, even just exercise, you're adding a stimulus that is strong enough to induce a change, right? So even with your balance, if you're doing this and you're fine, you're not swaying whatsoever, then you're not really working as much. But if you're starting to get a little bit of that sway, what I typically say is, we talk about the 3 systems, but we have some strategies to kind of keep our balance. So for the people that were doing the exercise, you might have felt your ankles kind of shifting side to side, maybe grasping for the ground. Those are kind of like our ankle reactions. And then sometimes we have our hip reactions as well, where it's like, if someone bumps into me, sometimes I don't have to do anything. I kind of just shift my hip back and forth to fix it. Again, it's keeping your center over your base. So those exercises work on those reactions. When it comes to like a protective reaction, what happens when you do lose your balance? What happens when we call it a perturbation, like a nudge is too much that you lose it? The goal is that you take a step to catch yourselves. Typically, what people do is that they reach for something, which is great, but there's not always something to reach to. So the more your body can do, the better. In terms of practicing that, it's tricky in the home. So typically what I would say, find a PT that works on balance or neuro. It's almost going to look like bullying. They're kind of just going to be throwing you off balance for an hour. But because really these things happen so fast that it's just pure reactions. So training your body to have those strategies. Ways that you can indirectly affect that is really just like strength training. So kind of like working on those hip extensors, mainly because a lot of people fall backwards, working on those weight shifts. So everything that we did today indirectly helps your balance, because you're working on being able to weight shift without losing your balance, forward, backwards, side to side, maybe standing on one leg. Things like that, those all play into it. Walking forwards, walking backwards, as long as it's controlled, that's kind of building your body so that when it does happen, the reactions are there for it to induce it. And this everything was kind of from a PT standpoint, but I saw a comment on there about like Tai Chi. Tai Chi is great for your balance as well. Just again, it's a lot of those weight shifts. It's a lot of that flexibility. So it's always such an independent answer, but really a lot of things can help you with those protective reactions. But again, these things have to be challenging enough to induce a change. And that's not always the safest thing to do at home. So that's what I say. That's the caveat where it's like, maybe find a local PT or anyone that can kind of come in and work on that balance a little bit in a controlled environment, even if it's just teaching you strategies. Because then it comes down to what's inducing the fall. Is it something in your environment, or are we just tripping? Because that will depend on how we work on it, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answered your question. It wasn't a straight answer. It's never a straight answer.
Excellent. Thank you. And then someone asked about, are there exercises that can be done to release some of the dystonia, the stiffness in the toes?
Yeah. Dystonia is such an interesting topic. Now, if you were to go to a neurologist, it depends on the extent of dystonia. Everything has its caveat, kind of referencing back that back pain, talk to your local provider. Because, increase in tone is just natural to any kind of neurologic condition. You can work on just general mobility. So kind of like self-stretching, kind of opening those toes, expanding those toes, going into like a dorsiflexion, just bringing your toes up. Things like that. That's just general mobility. Again, it depends on the dystonia, where sometimes there does have to be a medication aspect, whether it's like a baclofen or something to work on that tone, or like a Botox injection. That's where, again, we kind of refer you back to your neurologist and your local PT who might know the situation a little bit better, to give you direct advice.
And
But it's really common.
there was somebody, she did ask also if you can provide contact information. I'm assuming to maybe if people wanted to, if they're in your area, to maybe, okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to just put it in the chat on there? Would that be
Sure.
easier?
I was gonna say, I wasn't sure if you wanted the neuro rehab at Gmail.
Yeah.
Or if you had a separate, okay, then I can.
That's perfect. Yeah, so I'm local to kind of the East Valley, Arizona. But feel free to send me questions to that email.
As always, I want everyone to save the chat. A few people put some good links into the chat. So if your chat is open, there's 3 little dots next to the little happy face, and you can save your chat that way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You learn something new every day.
You learn something new.
Somebody did say that they stand on one foot while they clean their teeth twice a day, so that this way, yeah, just, you know, like you were saying, keeping the balance and just what you can do, even if it's a little uncomfortable.
Even things like that is dual tasking, because standing on your leg just on itself is hard enough. But if you're moving around, that's throwing you off balance as well. But it's probably by the counter, so you have that backup for some support if need be. So beautiful.
As always, thank you so much, Sergio. You're just delightful. And Lucy just made my day. I'm like, I love Lucy.
She's asleep back there. She's like, exercise. What are you guys doing?
I appreciate that her helping the whole time. Like, she's like, I gotta just make sure daddy's doing what he's supposed to do. And I appreciated that. So we have our tradition here at PMD Alliance, our wave of gratitude. Thank you so much for keeping us company and giving us your time today. Thank you.
First, thank you guys.
Hi, everyone.